Hello. Well, this video is aimed mostly at you guys in America. And I just want to ask you, don't you realize how you are being insulted and taken for fools? Don't you realize how you're being made fun of? Don't you realize how you're being taken for a ride? I can't understand why there isn't more of a fuss about this. Don't you understand what's going on here? That's Rashida Tlaib, whatever she's called, wearing a keffiyeh, which has become the symbol of the Palestinian cause, not the American cause, although she's an American Congress, or supposed to be a congresswoman in America. And she has a dog there, wrapped in the American flag, that's licking out of somebody else's hand. Don't you see the symbolism in that? Don't you know what she's saying here? To a Muslim, a dog is the most impure, almost the most impure animal in the world. You can't, there are very few more insults you could use about a human being than to call him a dog. And there she's wrapped a dog in the American flag. Now, you'll find lots of people dressing up dogs in, American flags and things like that for Halloween. But not people like this. Especially somebody who uses keffiyeh symbolism constantly. These are really what are called dog whistles. You may not understand what this thing here means, but she does, and so do all her Muslim followers. Now, I want to, I brought this up in a previous video. Look, this is a photograph of Rashida Tlaib when she was running for Congress. It was in The Nation, and there she is standing in front of the Michigan Capitol building. All right, now, obviously, this was the basis of a portrait. When she was elected, the celebrations included her being presented with a portrait, obviously based on this photograph. I'll show it, I'll bring it up here. Here we are. This is the photograph. I think this was the artist, this chap here. This is the portrait. Now, that's not the Michigan Capitol anymore. That's the main Capitol, the American, the head of the federal government, or the Congress anyway. That's Rashida Tlaib wearing the keffiyeh. And if you want to notice, it's slung over her shoulder and it's wrapped around the Capitol. The symbolism of that is not to be ignored. And I want to prove to you how the keffiyeh is a symbol in Palestinian politics. This is Yasser Arafat, one of the most repulsive looking human beings I've ever seen in my life. People have often remarked on the odd way he wore that headscarf. This is a pretty standard Middle Eastern headscarf, but Yasser Arafat wore it, and that alone, and that pattern has become a symbol of Palestine now, although it wasn't before. He wore it, he arranged it in that way because the shape of it resembles the shape of the State of Israel. And what he's saying is that this is all Palestine. And every Palestinian knows that. And I pointed out Tlaib's use, or this man's use, with her agreement of this Palestinian keffiyeh, not the shape of Palestine this time, but wrapped around the Capitol. Now she's saying that America is a dog that licks out of somebody else's hands while she wears her keffiyeh. Don't you see what she is saying about you? Why is there no national fury about this woman who is in your government, harking back to an Egyptian terrorist who laid claim to a slice of Middle Eastern land not his own, and used this symbolism here to tell the world, or at least the Arab world, that's what he was trying to do. And this woman here who was making this symbol of her control of the Capitol building. Now, just as a matter of, just for accuracy, I just want to show you what Islam thinks of dogs. Now, I have to be fair here. The Arabs have a dislike of dogs for very good reasons. There are good reasons for staying away from dogs. But the Quran itself, I can go into that if anyone wants, but you know, I don't want to spend too much time on it on this video. The Quran is very contradictory about it. On some occasions, Muhammad shows no problem with dogs, and on others he shows superstitious dread of them, especially black dogs. But that doesn't matter. Going back to the Quran or the Hadiths is not important. It's what the Muslims think of dogs now that you have to contend with. Keeping a dog is najis. That means filthy. If a Muslim man keep dog just to guard the house, you know, if it works, it must never come into the house. Put the dog at the end of the compound. How should he clean it? Well, this is terrible English, but if you're touched by a dog, you have to wash yourself 7 times, or the vessel that the dog used, and then scrub it out with earth to clean it. That's how they feel about dogs. The Straits Times. I just picked a few web pages. Muslims should not deliberately touch or pet dogs, says Jakim. This is in Kuala Lumpur. It's, or you see what I'm just showing this because it shows it's all along the Muslim world, or Muslim cultures, irrespective of where they are. Are Muslims allowed to keep dogs as a pet? Now, the impurity of dogs. It's true. You can get diseases from dogs. You can get diseases from parrots too, by the way. And I don't see parrots being forbidden in Islam. From the viewpoint of Islam, when we speak about the impurity of the dog, we mean its outward filth and all its organs, including skin, flesh and hair. So everything is considered as impure. And then the other thing is, dogs are so loving, you might start to love this dog more than you love Allah, which is a despicable reason. That's not one of the good reasons I was thinking of. Here, the majority of scholars opined that dogs are impure, and they based their opinion on what Abu Huraira narrated, that Prophet Muhammad said, if a dog drank from a dish of yours, purify the dish by washing it, you know, etc., etc., which is actually good advice. But I'm not talking about how it was then. I'm talking about how it is now. They've taken the idea that dogs are impure and they've become hysterical. Muslim bus drivers refuse to let guide dogs on board. Blind passengers are being ordered off buses or refuse taxi rides because Muslim drivers or passengers object to their unclean guide dogs. Blind passenger hounded off bus because of his dog. I think somebody was probably having a joke there. A woman and her children became hysterical at the sight of his guide dog. That's the sort of attitude Muslims have to dogs, even guide dogs, even though apologists say Islam doesn't forbid dogs. It allows you to have dogs for work or for good reasons, although it discourages them as pets. But that's not the truth. The truth is that Muslims become hysterical at the sight of dogs, and they think of them as filthy and absolutely to be avoided. And there is Tlaib with a dog dressed up like that. I think that dog might belong to AOC. And I don't believe that AOC doesn't understand what's going on here. And I don't understand why you Americans don't understand what's going on here as well. If you want to donate or contact, the information will be rolling over the Graniopteryx as I speak. Please like, subscribe and share because it does help with the algorithm. If you visit my channel on YouTube and one day discover that I've disappeared without warning, you'll still find me on BitChute or Minds. Just go to either of those platforms and do a search for Graniopteryx. If you're already watching this on BitChute or Minds, good for you. Meanwhile, if you're watching this on YouTube, remember that you must keep checking the subscribe and bell icons because occasionally they reset. Till next time.